Over the weekend, crypto prices went crazy. And by crazy, I mean volatile. We witnessed Bitcoin having strong wicks to the upside, with also wicks to the downside, chasing liquidations on the up and also on the low. And during this time, one thing that I want to stress to all of you is that weekend price action is prime time manipulation. That's where the markets are reliant on just money flows. We're not tied back to stocks and how stocks are performing or even how the dollar is trading as well. Because again, the only thing open on the weekend is crypto, which allows for price manipulation, which allows for major shakeouts to begin. And that's exactly what I feel like we're getting through right now. It's just one big shakeout right before the biggest wave of the market actually happens. And I've mentioned that this has happened in previous cycles. We go back to 2020 into 2021. We go back to 2017, 2018. We saw crazy price swings right before the largest wave hit the market, which was alt season. So when we think about what's been happening over just the last couple days, I am not concerned at all. In fact, if we actually think about the weekly view here, there's still some altcoins that are up in a huge way on the weekly. If we go to the daily here, we could see that even on the daily, there's still some nice gains across the board. It's still a sea of red on the hourly, the weekly, the daily, and even the monthly as well. But I do think that we will get through this and we'll be fine. In terms of the price action right now that we are watching, Bitcoin is at about roughly almost 115.7K. On the daily, we're only up about 0.1%. On the weekly, we're down about 2.6%. And on the monthly, we're down about 2%. Ethereum looks a little bit different. On the daily, we're down about 0.8%. Weekly, flat. Monthly, up about 17.1%. XRP down 11.4% on the month. If we scroll down and look at the list as well, XLM down about 11%. SUI down about 7.1%, and then HBAR down about 9.7%. There's a few outliers here, but for the most part, the market has been pretty red. Now, real quick, before we do continue, I just want to quickly mention that if you guys want to tap into ITrustCapital, this is the best platform for premium custody accounts, and also the crypto IRA platform that they have to offer is 100% an incredible opportunity for those that value long-term investments in crypto. Using my promo code and my link down in the description below, you guys can get an exclusive $100 funding bonus when you sign up and deposit. And like I said, this is a platform that offers some of the best opportunities that you can really ask for around crypto, because you get tax advantaged IRAs. You also have the premium custody, which is huge because that is institutional grade custody. It's extremely secure and the fees are pretty low. There's no monthly cost at all. So if you guys do want to go check this out, you guys are more than welcome to down in the description below. Remember, if you use my promo code and you click that link and sign up, you guys get an exclusive $100 funding bonus when you deposit on ITrustCapital. And with that being said, let's dive back on into the video. So let's go over here to CoinMarketCap. So when we are looking at CoinMarketCap, just a refresh real quick, make sure everything is up to date. $3.91 trillion for market cap for crypto. Not a big change at all. In terms of fear and greed, about 53. Again, not a big change. Nobody's extremely fearful right now. The sentiment is pretty boring, I would argue. Everyone's kind of frustrated that they just want to see the gains across the board, but we just have to get through these boring and frustrating times. It's something that isn't new for us. That's been around for a while. If you guys, remember back in 2020 to 2021, we, saw the same boring, frustrating price action. Today, again, this market is not that different. But if we are looking into a few things, let's take a quick look at Bitcoin's performance right now on the monthly. Let me make sure that this is up to date as well. So, or actually, let's go back on the 7-day. Let's just look at how the market has been trading over the last couple days. So if we look at this, on the 13th, we hit about 124,000. I think that the actual wick was about roughly 124.5K. And then we kind of chopped a bit. We were just trading sideways. We sold off into the 14th. And then we just kind of chopped into the 16th, the 17th, and then on the 17th, towards the end of the night, aka the weekly candle close, boom, we just dropped to the downside of 114.7K. Again, the wicks here, 124.4, it's almost like 124.5K. And then also the wick on the low, 114.7K. Right now, no major change at all in terms of price action. We're just kind of chopping here. We're ranging. And, during this time, we definitely could see a lot more chop for altcoins as well, which will provide us with some great buy opportunities. In terms of Ethereum was not shy to the volatility either. If we're looking at this on the 7-day span, we could see, a high wick here. The highest wick was technically on the 14th at about roughly almost 4,800. Then we start to sell off into the 15th. We ranged a little bit, had a nice, jump to the upside, nothing too crazy. It was a lower high. And then we just sold off into the weekly candle close, wicking down to as low as $4,200. And right now, price action, really not that bullish. Could this get worse before it gets better? Yeah, sure. We'll outline that here in a moment as well. In terms of XRP, again, XRP did lose $3 over the last 7 days. We wicked as low as $2.94.5 roughly. This is after wicking to the high of like $3.34. I do remember a lot of people celebrating this move on XRP, saying, all right, that's it, we're about to break out. But overall, it led to us just hitting resistance, selling off, and then, following the rest of the market. With XRP, I did outline this a while back. I'm not too sure where we were trading at during that time. I'm pretty sure we were trading up here around like $3.20 some cents. And I said that there's always a possibility that we do get sub $3 once again. We did see this. Now, for anyone that's wondering, how would a, much worse scenario look? And what I mean by that is, if we do lose this $2.96 level, and I'm talking about a daily close below this, how bad can it get? Well, we mainly look at retesting the $2.76 level that we closed on from August 2nd and the 3rd. I would love for us to avoid that. I think that maintaining a higher low here is crucial for XRP. And if we're looking at this more on like a higher time frame on the 3-day, we shouldn't close at or below $2.96 if we are going to create bullish structure on the 3-day. There's always a possibility though, and I want to take this to the weekly real quick. There's always a possibility that we do try to retest some lower prices and actually have a much larger drop on XRP to like the mid $2 region. That's always a possibility. This would be retesting the highs for May and even retesting the highs for March as well. That's a possibility. I would love for us to avoid that. I do think that we do avoid that, and I'll talk about why here in a moment, but this is what I'm expecting on XRP. We just kind of chop here, we range. I mean, there's no real reason to be extremely bearish at this point just yet, because again, the higher time frame structure is still extremely bullish. So right now, no change at all in terms of my thoughts. I still think that XRP trades a lot higher going into the end of this year. And what I mean by a lot higher, I mean a lot higher than the $3.66 level that we hit already. Now, also big shout to Credible Crypto, because I wanted to utilize this in this video because it does provide us a perspective on other charts outside of the XRP USD. For an example, the XRP Ethereum chart. So Credible Crypto outlined this in chart 1. XRP Ethereum has hit my downside area of interest, also mid-range, after a 3-month correction that followed a 700% rally off of the range lows. And here we actually have that tap of that green zone. Here we also have the USD chart. Is now in its 9th month of consolidation above the highest monthly close in its history. And yes, this is what XRP looks like. If I actually go back to XRP on the 1 month, just to kind of show you guys where we are at right now in terms of the 1 month chart. This is why I said, all of this lower time frame price action, it technically doesn't matter, right? Because it looked bearish on the daily, it looked bearish on the 3-day, but if we're looking at this on the macro, look at all of these monthly candle closes above the monthly candle closes back in 2017 and 2018, which is the historical all-time highs. XRP still looks very good here, and there's no reason to be worried or concerned at all. I understand that we hate to see price action like this because We just want upside potential, but the longer that we chop, the longer that we consolidate, the higher that we actually go. But on top of that, we have Ethereum USD is approaching prior all-time highs after completing a clean 5-wave move off of 2100 and is likely due for some consolidation as it corrects this completed impulse. I'm actually excited about this consolidation. I think that we probably see, I would say, more boring price action leading into the end of this month, going into September, where we do see the FOMC meeting. I do think that we get the first rate cut decision in September, which will support the market waking back up after we consolidate, sending the markets even higher. Now, we do have conclusion. When you put all of this together, it suggests that we are getting closer to the next period of outperformance on XRP against Ethereum. Both Bitcoin and XRP spent months consolidating at prior all-time highs before continuing their expansion. This makes sense because prior all-time highs after a severe bear market is a logical place for holders to start locking in some gains. Meanwhile, Ethereum is now approaching its own prior all-time highs for the first time. And that too, after completing a clean 5-wave impulse, it is logical to assume then that it may take some time around these levels to consolidate and digest the move before continued expansion. Meanwhile, XRP is wrapping up its 9th month of consolidation at prior all-time highs and is likely gearing up for its next leg sooner rather than later. The confluence of the XRP Ethereum chart at support/mid-range adds to the idea that XRP may be gearing up for its next impulse while Ethereum may be cooling off from its last. It's almost time to ZERP it. Now, I agree with Credible Crypto. When we think about the Ethereum chart, this is what the Ethereum chart looks like. I do think that we consolidate right around this major demand zone. So I wouldn't mind us just kind of doing something like this for the remainder of August before we start to actually get that big break and retest of the all-time high before we possibly consolidate just a little bit longer under the all-time high before we finally get the big expansion to the upside. Now, I've said it many times over in the past. On the break of the all-time high for Ethereum, very similar to 2021, that's when a lot of the altcoins in this market will start to have that crazy move to the upside. Ethereum will basically lead the way. Can it be different this time around where XRP leads the way? 100%. That is a possibility. It can happen. Now, the biggest thing that I want you all to understand here is that this consolidation, this boring phase of the market is very, very good. It's healthy. I share this many times over in the past as well. When we think about consolidation, okay, it's not the best, it's not the happiest moment for us, but we look at the price chart. For an example, if we're looking at XRP back in the beginning of this year, here we have the first low, lower low, lower low, major lower low. Most people would be very bearish right around this point in the market, but during this time, we are consolidating this entire time basically. This is the last major move down on this consolidation. After that, it's just chopped to the upside. Now, going off of this high, we technically created a higher high. So structure is now bullish again. The next major low here is a higher low, which told us on the next move to the upside, we should break this high, which was the May high. And yes, we did. And it took us to this $3.66 level on XRP, which was extremely bullish. Now, I bring this up because look at our price action here. We have our major low, our significant low, where everyone will get bearish. We're starting to chop to the upside. However, we're just ranging within here and we're squeezing in this wedge, which tells me, and this is exactly why I have this move to the upside, the longer that we chop here and squeeze, the larger that move to the upside will be. And yes, we will make a new higher high based off of these highs from July, which tells us that the next move here on XRP should be $4 plus. XRP looks very good here. Bitcoin, Ethereum, yeah, we're still focused on them. Yes, we still have levels to go off of. I'm not too concerned on Bitcoin or on Ethereum right now, or even XRP. I still think that most of this price action that we're seeing right now is just that consolidation leading us into September, where we will see the biggest financial event in a while, because I do think that that will lead to the first rate cut decision from the Fed. They have enough to go off of for it. A lot of people keep saying no Fed rate cut. There's no way he's cutting rates. We'll have to watch, wait, and see. But again, I do think that September is going to be a very bullish month. A lot of people keep saying, no way, it's going to be bearish. It's not going to be bullish at all. If we go back, because again, a lot of people say, historically, September's a bad month. September was not a bad month at all for XRP. In fact, we actually climbed all throughout September. We chopped to the upside of, 66 cents off of the low of like 50 cents. Even Bitcoin and Ethereum also did pretty good during that time, leading us into November. If anything, I would say that October is pretty bearish. I don't think that October is a very good month for crypto, but anything can change. Anything can be different. We don't have to base everything off of previous monthly performance, because again, so far, I don't think that that has been a very good, thing to do, because the market has been trading in such a weird way. A lot of people have been having a very hard time predicting what happens in this market going forward. And I just think that that's because they're overlooking the institutional inflows. I think that they're, overlooking the change in scenery around crypto. I still think that we are following the liquidity cycle. However, I do think that there is going to be outliers, and I think XRP is going to be one of them, where we do start to have that big break to the upside. I agree with Credible Crypto. The higher time frame view of XRP is so bullish, and this next move should take us to $4 plus. So with that being said, to summarize things, I wouldn't get too worried out there. I wouldn't get panicked or anything like that. I still think that the market right now is just kind of, it's a little bit boring, but embrace that boring part, because the next wave here should be very, very bullish, and it should be very exciting, and it should happen pretty quick as well. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely like, subscribe, turn notifications on, because there's more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.